Torah Life Ministries come out of the world. Messiah people seek the truth.
Hello everybody, it's Paul Neeson with Torah Life Videos, and I got some questions we can answer that people have been sending me. And if you have any comments or anything, just post them below the video. And if you have more questions, do that as well. You can always go to my website, TorahLifeMinistries.org, and check out a lot of the information I have there that answers many of these questions and gives videos by others and myself and scriptures to do so. The first question comes, somebody says, I have a friend tell me that the old covenant was done away with the new. I asked where she got this, and it was Hebrews 8:13. Can you elaborate on this? Well, first let's look at the book of Messianic Jews 8:13, also known as Hebrews. And in Hebrews 8:13, it actually says, by using the term new, he has made the first covenant old, and something being made old, something in a process of aging. It is on its way to vanishing altogether. Well, the problem is so many people were ignoring the original covenant that they made when they accept Yeshua as your Messiah. That's what you're doing. And the original covenant that Yahweh made with the children of Israel, so many people were ignoring it. They weren't taking it as an important part of their life. They weren't taking it sincere enough. And old and new is really not a good term. It's the original and the renewed, which makes much more sense. But the original people were ignoring. So it's kind of taking a car that was once a beautiful classic model, and it was just the top car of its time. But people eventually, new cars started to come, so they started to ignore or forget about the original car. And it was just sitting there, and nobody was taking advantage of it, and no one was using it. But then somebody comes along, and they clean off the dust from that car, they clean it up, they make it nice and sparkly clean, and they add some extra power to the engine and so on, and they say, you can no longer ignore this beautiful original car that was here. Look at the beauty of it in the restoration of it. Well, when the new covenant was given, or the renewed covenant, it was so important, the original, that Yahweh said, I'm going to take the original and take it off these stones and put it on people's heart. And that's the only newness to it. He repolished it so people could see the importance of the original. He didn't change it. He didn't go out and swap one for the other. It was the old idea of people having to do something in terms of having a sacrificial offering for their repentance. And now that it's on their heart, it was on their heart, so they didn't have to go make a sacrifice. They had to start doing the right thing in their heart. And so it wasn't replaced with from the standpoint of, oh, this is new with all new things to it and everything's new and we're going to completely replace the original. No, it was taking the original and restoring it so much back to its original glory. Well, we could no longer treat it the way we once did. We now have to treat it in a new way, with more importance, with more joy, and with more appreciation. And that's what this is about. So the original covenant was never done away with. It says, Yeshua says, I didn't come to do away with it. I came to restore it. I came to fulfill it, to show people how important it was. So you need to tell your friend to read the Torah. You need to tell your friend to read the rest of the scriptures. You need to tell your friend that Paul never did away with the Torah, and he kept everything that the Torah said to do, because it says throughout all my generations you are to keep this. So, it wasn't done away with. It was refurnished, restored, and nothing was changed, because it says do not change, do not add or take away from my word. But the importance of it was restored in people's hearts. So what was new was it was taken off paper and put on people's hearts. So thank you for your question, and there's that answer. All right, everybody, the next question comes about the Sabbath and working. Somebody said, I am not sure where to post this question, which under the videos would be the best place, they say. But I have a question about the Sabbath and jobs. How do I tell employers that I can't work on the Sabbath due to my religion? If they say Saturdays are mandatory and you can't meet the job's business requirements for that particular day, what do you do? Also, how do you explain to employers about the festivals of like Passover, Sukkot, and Shavuot? You need time to participate in these things. Most employers don't honor these other religions unless it pertains to Christmas or Catholic holidays. So what do we do in these situations? Well, let's see if and this here is a question that more and more people are coming up with, because as they start to see that there's nothing to the Catholic Roman holidays other than something like a Hallmark holiday where it's just about money making and everything else, and they see the importance of the holy days that we are commanded to keep throughout our whole lives, throughout all our generations. They say, what do we do in these situations when we have a job and the employer doesn't know anything about keeping Shabbat or anything like that? Well, there's several different ways you can approach it. I think the honorable way to approach it would be sooner or later, and sooner hopefully, you just got to go ahead and do it, and you got to go on faith to know that Yahweh will take care of you with the job you have, and if not, He will supply a better job for you. Now, I've heard stories where people right away, they quit their jobs because their employer didn't want to honor the Shabbat and let them take off the Shabbat. But that's not always my answer of doing that, because sometimes you might have to, a learning curve might be involved, and you might have to teach your employer of the importance of this day. From my understanding, most jobs, they have to have some type of religious exempt that you sign when you take the job, saying that, regardless of my religious beliefs, I'm going to listen to the job over the holy day. But if you don't sign something like that, or better yet, if you, before getting the job, sign something saying, I have these days that I can't work, I'll do my best the other days, then they really can't do anything about it. But one of the situations is most people are at a job already, and then later they become observant to these days. And it's understandable from the job standpoint, because they don't want just people taking off for no reason, saying that they're observant, and then they go out playing golf or something. So it has to be really sincere, and if people didn't tell somebody about this before they got the job, well, how sincere was it really? But, like myself, there are many people that get into Torah later on in life, and then we realize this, but we already have a job. So one thing is, you might want to check your records with Human Resources and make sure you didn't sign anything saying you're not excluded from taking these personal days off. Another thing people do is they use their vacation time to take off during the certain feast days like Sukkot and Shavuot. So they use their vacation time to take off at those times. But the weekly Shabbat, well, many jobs are 9 to 5. You might have to leave a little early on Friday evening. But if you do have a job that the weekend's involved, then, you might have a situation where eventually you might have to leave that job and tell them, I can't do this anymore, and get another job. But you want to do everything in your power to try to teach them and help them see that you like the job, you want to stay there, you want to be there, you need to be there, but at the same time, you're going to honor your Creator, and you can't work on Shabbat, and then see what happens there. So there's many different ways to approach it, folks, but to ignore it, that's the real issue, because it says in James 4:17, to know good and not do it, to him it is sin. So once you know something, it's one thing, but then what are you going to do? And again, it might be a learning curve, it might take some time, but you got to do something about it, and you can't just keep forgetting about it. All right, everybody, this is the questions for this week. So if you have any Torah questions, just post them below the videos, and we'll get to them. If you have any comments, get to them. Until then, this is Paul Neeson with Torah Life Ministries saying have a great day and have a great Shabbat, this coming Shabbat, and Shalom, Shalom.
Seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's way.